Hello everybody. So it's been almost a month since I've last covered Enphase, and I am pleased to say that the price hasn't changed much. When I look at this price compared to roughly a month ago, it's up 1%, down 1%. We had the market looking like it was coming back to its senses 2 weeks ago, but it's going back straight into irrationality with the stock closing today at $108. And I find this ridiculous because compared to when I had made the video a month ago, here's what changed, right? So a month ago, the 10-year was at a 4.2%, and the odds of a rate cut in March were not even a discussion a month ago. This is a screenshot from a month ago. We had 40% odds. Now, today, stocks were down today quite a bit because over the past 2 days, the interest rates have been going up ever so slightly. You can barely see it on this chart. They've been going up ever so slightly at 4%, and so the market is freaking out again, which again makes no sense to me because now the odds of the first rate cut in March are still well above 50%. They've gone above 50% over the past 4 weeks. They're at 65%. It's worth noting that a few days ago they were above 70%, those odds. So 65%, 70%. My guess is that we will see those odds increase as we get closer and closer to the March meeting. We had another director of the Fed today say that they were ready to drop rates if they needed to drop rates just today. In my view, they will drop rates because they've made this go on way too long. Also remember that in March there's other problems for the Fed in March, like the BTFP program and the expansion of the BTFP program with the banks and the hundreds of billions of dollars that the banks have used in order to shore up the world of hurt that they are in because their collateral, their bonds are way down due to those high interest rates. The Fed needs to drop the rates if it doesn't want a collapse in so many corporations that have counterparties, that own debts as counterparty for their deposits. And that's just the way it is. And let's not even talk about the deficit, right? The U.S. $500 billion deficit in 1 quarter. Let's not even talk about that. We're going to have $2 trillion deficit. In my view, the rates have to go down. They will go down. And why do I even talk about this for a video on Enphase? Well, it's because a solar system, a decent solar system, is going to be 25 to 35 grand with the batteries if you add batteries to it. And most people get that financed. Most people don't have the cash. Most people get that financed. That's a big catalyst that the rates are going down. That's going to be a big catalyst for the adoption of solar. And I also want to say this because in crypto they have this saying, which is winter is for building. Namely, when the price of your project is down, you should focus on building. You should focus on the business. Well, I dare say the same thing for solar because all of the stocks in solar are down, not just Enphase. But do we say the same thing in solar? Because solar is kind of seeing a slowdown right now, whether it's the installers or whether it's the big players in the space like Enphase, which is the biggest player in this space, by the way. Are they in a building mode? Is it a winter is for building for them, winter as far as their stock price goes? And I would say yes. When I look at Enphase is executing the plan. We know a big part of the plan of Enphase is to double down on Europe. There's a lot of European markets where they are not well developed. Actually, most European markets, they are not well developed, and you can see that, for example, they had a very big event in the Netherlands with hundreds of installers and the CEO giving a speech. That was 5 days ago. We can see that today they've launched their IQ8, which is the microinverter on which they get a lot of subsidies from the US government. Right, US-made inverters, lots of subsidies coming because these things are fungible, right? I mean, if you sell an inverter made in China, you don't have to import one from the US. So there's fungibility in the microinverters. They're interchangeable. So overall, over the long run, the more high-powered microinverters you sell, the more you're going to get subsidies. Well, anyways, they're launching it. They're launching a high-powered inverter in Belgium. which is a country that I think will see much adoption in solar. And we see Italy now, they're launching their battery systems in Italy. And this is part of the game plan for Enphase, which is to have an attach rate and to sell as many batteries and eventually as many car chargers along with those batteries as they are currently selling microinverters. You know, they want to diversify the business, not be just a microinverter business, but be a holistic business for running your house, for running electricity in your house. You generate your own electricity, you store your own electricity. Bidirectional charging is going to be huge for Enphase because they're going to be able to work with so many EVs, and you're going to be able to use your EVs as energy storage for your house. You're creating a system where you're not reliant on the grid for power anymore. You produce your own power and you meet your own energy demand. But also, and this is something, a new press release from a few days ago talking about them expanding their virtual power plants. Now, they've had virtual power plants for a while, but they had an expansion recently with PG&E, with a big utility in New Jersey, I believe. And this is exactly what we were talking about in prior videos a few months back, when battery tells us, well, really selling a battery is going to be much easier, because with a battery now, you're going to be able to resell electricity to the grid, and that's grid services. It's a way for utilities to buy back electricity from Enphase systems that have electricity stored in those batteries installed against the wall, and in those cars that are going to be plugged to these walls. And so this is the future, in my view. Virtual grids are the future, and you can see that Enphase is building again in the virtual grid space, just like Tesla. These companies are the two leaders, although Tesla is not a leader in solar. The leader in solar is Enphase. Enphase has to catch up on virtual grid. Enphase has to catch up on batteries, and Tesla has to catch up to Enphase on solar, because they are not there on solar for Tesla. But if you look at Enphase, they're launching their own system, Grid Services Manager, right? A manager can look in their area how many homes have a solar roofs connected to the utility, and they can decide when to use that power, when to not use that power. And sometimes you get a payment. Sometimes you get a credit, a buyback credit. This is an example of a program that they have in Texas, knowing that Texas is a free electricity, a free market electricity state. So this system is available to most people in Texas. This is what they have in Texas, and you can see if you get their newest batteries. So let's use their newest batteries, the 10T, the newest batteries. If you have two of those, so two batteries, not that many batteries, right? Two batteries, you can get between $400 and $1,000 in buyback credits each year. So up to $1,000 each year for installing that battery. The battery gets an ROI, gets a return on investment. It's not just something that you do to gain power once you lose power from the grid. No, it's more than that. Now the battery has a return on investment, just like the solar on the roof has a return on investment. And I think this is going to make the sale of these systems much more compelling, and even more compelling as people get electric cars and they have to charge 1 or 2 electric cars at home, right? Because then if you have an oversized solar system, all of a sudden you go from an electric car where really the cost of an electric car is about 10 times cheaper than gas, you go to 2 or 3 orders of magnitude cheaper, because once the system is paid for, once everything is set up, it's virtually free energy. You have virtually the sun going on your roof, charging your car. This is a revolution like few are going on right now, and that's why when I see this stock at $110, I am happy to buy it, and I keep buying it at these prices. What are some of the short-term catalysts? Although, if you follow the channel, you know I don't really care for short-term. I'm very used to roller coasters in my assets and in my stocks. This is part of investing. You really get used to it. If you're new to investing, let me tell you one thing: you get used to the roller coaster. Anyways, the point is, there's a lot of. I think there's a good setup. There's short-term catalysts. Let's remember first of all that Enphase has guided for a very bad Q1 and a very bad Q2. Really, battery got it all out of the way on the last earnings call and said everything that didn't go really well. And so the market should be ready for very poor numbers from Q1 and Q2 2024, which means that the market is set up for a positive surprise. All it would take is a slightly better sales on the systems. All it would take is slightly better inventory at the distributors for the stock to go up. So that's one aspect. Another aspect is stocks. They should, in theory, not always the case with innovation, but in theory they should look at the future and look into the future. Well, the Fed is going to be easing rates in 2024, so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that if the rates go down, it's easier for people to borrow $25,000 and to set up solar panels on the roofs, especially when you have the $7,500 IRA incentive, which I'll talk about next into the long-term catalyst, because the IRA is a long-term catalyst, not just a short-term catalyst. In the short term, you have the battery attach rates, and Enphase selling more and more batteries. If you follow Enphase, you may see more and more people are reporting on their batteries. More and more installers are publishing their installs, publishing pictures of their installs, and a lot of people are telling us how satisfied they are with the battery setup, because this is a great setup, and it allows you to be entirely energy independent, and you don't have to buy a Generac or anything like that if you're worried about losing power for a few days. So the battery attach rate, I think, will put an end to the NEM-free, an end to the end of the NEM-free 0.0 in California news. You may remember that this stock got hurt because California ended NEM 3.0. They stopped that, and so that created a lot of stigma in Enphase because the market was worried that they would sell way less in California. And the CEO was telling us, no, we're gonna sell batteries now because now batteries have an ROI. Because what NEM 2.0 was simply using the grid as a battery. Now with NEM 3.0, the grid can't be used as a battery anymore. You need to have your own battery, but you can make a return on investment on that battery. And also, and this is another important one. The market may realize that this company actually has a major potential in Europe and sells outside of California. Yes, this is a company that got started in California, but if you read anything about this company, you know that analysts are very California-centric. All they talk about is California, and they often forget the opportunity that this company has in Europe. And this company has a tremendous opportunity in Europe, in my view. And that's why I love Enphase at these levels. And I will now conclude with the long-term catalysts. And these have not changed. I mean, repetition is key to, I guess, a entertainment channel or financial education / entertainment. This is just entertainment, an entertainment channel. Repetition is key, but I'll repeat these incentives. What are they? We have subsidies that we know are here until 2035, beginning to phase out into 2033. Right? Put that in a financial model. That's amazing. These subsidies are substantial. It's $7,500 for any residential home. In that, I'm talking about United States subsidies here, by the way. That sets up solar, $7,500. That's the subsidy, and then that is 11 cents per watt AC of microinverter manufactured in the US. And we know that Enphase is well on its way to shift manufacturing entirely in the United States. So that's 11 cents. So that means this is a company whose gross margin is going to go up. It's right now about 50%. The gross margin of this company, I wouldn't be surprised if it reached the 55, close to 60% going forward, because they are going to be getting absolutely astounding subsidies for manufacturing this stuff in the US, in addition to their customers also getting a major tax cut in the form of $7,500. So this is a company who has a major tailwind in the form of government incentive. Remember what I published in a prior video, and I invite you to go take a look at it if you want to look in my playlist. The present value of future subsidies is cheaper than what the stock is trading at. And that is still my assessment at this price. The subsidies, the present value of future subsidies, to me, they're going to get more in subsidies than the current price of the company and what it is trading. Also, battery subsidies are coming. I did not count those. That's that's going to be another big deal, and we will get some IRA clarity, and we will see how much subsidies they can expect to get in the form of battery manufacturing in the US. There's a lower subsidy if you just assemble it, which would be the easier thing, but there's a higher subsidy if you get US cells. So we'll see how that goes. But that's another big deal. Then we have the 1 billion share buyback program in place, and I sure hope they spend quite a bit of that buyback program. But that's always a catalyst. You're reducing share count, so that means that your earnings should go up, and the market is supposed to like earnings. This is a very profitable company. The market's supposed to like that. And we have even more long-term catalysts. What is that? Well, energy underlies everything we do in the economy, and I want to point out how energy is important. It is the most important thing. It is what powers our economy. That's why this is my second biggest position after Tesla. Tesla is my number one biggest position, because energy literally powers everything we do. Without energy, our society falls apart, and this is a company that literally creates system to create energy. It's at the base of our economy. It is at the base of everything we do. Not to criticize other stocks that I may own, but this is not a lifestyle brand. This is not an energy drink. This is not a payment terminal company. This is much more essential and much more meaningful. Another thing for energy that needs to be said is that AI needs tremendous energy, and AI is likely going to greatly increase the demand for energy, thus leading local governments and leading households to install more energy on their roof, to install more panels, to put more incentives in place, because we are an energy hungry society and we're going to need ever more energy. And if the price per kilowatt hour that you pay at the meter is, I don't know, 40 cents a kilowatt hour, that creates a tremendous incentive for you to do solar. And we have some states where energy is that expensive. And my guess is that we're going to have more and more states where energy is going to be in the 30 to 40 cents a kilowatt hour, at which case, if that's what you pay for energy, I mean, even if you pay $35,000 for a solar setup, it's still going to be cheaper to make your own energy, because, the sun is everywhere. The sun is everywhere. And also don't fall for the myth, for example, that if you're living more in the north, you don't produce as much electricity. It's important to realize that there's a trade-off between heat and efficiency. It's much more complex than that. You can have a solar roof, even in the northern United States, that produces just plenty, more than enough energy for your whole house and for an EV and for multiple other uses of that energy, right? The average roof, the average home has between 7 and 9 times the roof space for creating energy, to the rate of 7 to 9 times what they actually need and what they actually use, and that is just the way it is. Let's also focus on the fact that Enphase focuses on residential solar. Residential solar premises to be much bigger than commercial solar, residential solar. I mean, the market is so much bigger when you look at residential, right? In the U.S., 83 million homes. That's the size. That's the size of the market. In Europe, likely just as many homes. This is what's going on, right? This is a tremendous market, and as I always say, take a walk into your neighborhood and look at the roofs. How many solar roofs do you see? Probably a little more than 10 years ago, but it's probably still a minority. In my view, the world is gonna be headed we're gonna be living in a world where the majority of roofs have solar. That's at least my view, and microinverters. In my view, again, and I've made all of these videos, that's the winning solution. I believe for residential, I think it's going to be the winning solution for residential for a whole host of reasons that I have outlined in prior videos. And microinverters, because of that, they become pervasive. They are becoming more common just about everywhere in all of the Enphase products. So that's another way that they're going to get subsidies. Is they put these microinverters in the car chargers. They put them in the batteries. They are putting them absolutely everywhere and really ramping those manufacturing units for them. And lastly, solar will converge with electric vehicles and utilities. It really goes hand in hand. And I've said that a few seconds ago. If you believe in EVs, it's very likely that solar will develop in conjunction with EVs, just because it makes so much more sense. EVs are already the most compelling if you have a single family home. That's when EVs are the most compelling. And solar attached to EVs. So solar makes EVs much more compelling, and EVs make solar much more compelling. So there is a convergence, and that convergence was rightly identified by both Elon Musk and Battery, the CEO of Enphase. And I find it interesting that one is executing very well on solar, and the other one is executing very well on batteries. But there will be a convergence, and there will be a compatibility. This is also important to realize, and this is what Australia has shown us the way. There's compatibility. You can have an Enphase system with a Tesla car charger and an Enphase battery, or a Tesla battery. These systems are going to become more and more compatible. They're going to work together, and I'm just very much looking forward to seeing what this company is going to accomplish in the future. And I am buying at 110. And we'll see at the next earnings report where this company goes. But for me, right now, I don't find this company to be expensive at all. So anyways, this was not investment advice, no financial advice. This is just entertainment. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe. Please follow me on X if you can, at Beat the Denominator. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.